From a squirrel living in the world tree to a three-legged horse, here are 9 of the coolest creatures from Norse mythology. Number 9. Huginn and Muninn. In Norse myth, Huginn and Muninn are the 2 raven of the chief god Odin. Huginn means thought and Muninn means memory. Each morning Odin sends forth these raven and they fly over the earth. At night they return and sit on his shoulders to tell him what they heard and saw. The connection between Odin and ravens is very old and deep. Already in the 6th and 7th centuries AD, well before the beginning of the Viking Age in the late 8th century, visual depictions of Odin on helmets and jewelry frequently picture him accompanied by 1 or more ravens. In the poetry of the Viking Age, Odin was referred to with kennings and vice versa. A kenning is a common Old Norse literary device that uses images from a body of traditional lore to refer to something rather than calling it by its everyday name. Odin is called the raven god, the raven-tempter, or the priest of the raven sacrifice. In the same way, ravens are also called the greedy hawks of Odin. Also, the sight of ravens immediately following a sacrifice to Odin was taken as a sign that the god had accepted the offering. The ravens are an extension of Odin himself. In fact, he fears they won't return one day, leading to him losing some of his knowledge and power. Number 8. Ratatotskr. Scurrying up and down the Norse tree of life is Ratatotskr, a mischievous squirrel who is also a messenger for the gods. In the tales, he often puts his own spin on the stories he carries up and down the tree. His most regular clients are the wise eagle who sits at the top of Yggdrasil and the hungry serpent Nidhogg, who lies coiled among the tree's roots. Ratatotskr relishes the chance to carry an insult between these 2 mighty beasts, and by doing so he is continually stirring the animosity between them. Tales describe Ratatotskr as a red squirrel. Ancient artists depicted him with extremely long ears, but this could be an artifact of the art style of the time rather than a meaningful statement about Ratatotsk's physique. In some stories, he wants to destroy the Tree of Life, so he antagonizes the eagle and the dragon against each other. Because the tree is all that stands between the 2 foes, they attack the tree to get at each other. Some scholars believe that Ratatotskr may symbolize Rati, a magical drill that the god Odin used on a quest to obtain magical mead made from the blood of the wisest man who ever lived out of the fortress inside a mountain. I know, it's a little complicated. Number 7. Garm. The monstrous hound Garm guards the entrance to Helheim, the Norse realm of the dead, much like Cerberus in Greek mythology. It has 4 eyes and a chest drenched with blood and lives in Nipa Cave. Anyone who had given bread to the poor could appease him with hell cake. On the day of Ragnarok, Garm will join the giants in their fight against the gods. The god of war Tyr will kill it in this cataclysmic battle but will die from the wounds inflicted by the hound. Garm is often equated with the wolf Fenrir. Number 6. Fafnir. According to the legends, a dwarf named Fafnir slew his father Hreithmar to obtain a vast amount of gold. The gold had been a gift from Odin, who put a curse on it. Full of greed, Fafnir changed into a dragon to guard his treasure and was later slain by the young hero Sigurd. Sigurd was spurred on by another brother of Fafnir, the blacksmith Regin. Once Sigurd, under the advice of Odin, had killed Fafnir, Regin asked him to cook the dragon's heart for him. Sigurd touched the heart as it was cooking to test if it was done and burned his thumb. He put his thumb into his mouth and was then able to understand the language of birds. In this tale, knowledge is given to one who eats the heart of a dragon. The birds told Sigurd that it was Regin's intention to kill him, so instead Sigurd killed Regin and left with Fafnir's treasure. Number 5. Fenrir. Fenrir, or Fenris, is a gigantic and terrible monster in the shape of a wolf. He is the eldest child of Loki and the giantess Angrboda. The gods learned of a prophecy which stated that the wolf and his family would one day be responsible for the destruction of the world. They caught the wolf and locked him in a cage. Only the god of war Tyr dared to feed and take care of the wolf. When he was still a pup, they had nothing to fear, but when the gods saw one day how he had grown, they decided to do something about it. However, none of the gods had enough courage to face the gigantic wolf. Instead, they tried to trick him. They said the wolf was weak and could never break free when he was chained. Fenrir accepted the challenge and let the gods chain him. After that, the gods saw only one alternative left, a magic chain. They ordered the dwarves to make something so strong that it could hold the wolf. The result was a soft, thin ribbon, Sleipnir. Yes, in Norse mythology, even ribbons had names. It was incredibly strong, despite what its size and appearance might suggest. The ribbon was made of 6 very unique elements: the footstep of a cat, the roots of a mountain, a woman's beard, the breath of a fish, the sinews of a bear, and a bird's spittle. The gods tried to trick the wolf again, only this time Fenrir was less eager to show his strength. He saw how thin the chain was and said there was no pride in breaking such a weak chain. Eventually, though, he agreed, thinking that otherwise his strength and courage would be doubted. Suspecting treachery, however, he in turn asked the gods for a token of goodwill. One of them had to put a hand between his jaws. The gods were not overly eager to do this. Finally, only Tyr agreed, and the gods chained the wolf with Sleipnir. No matter how hard Fenrir struggled, he could not break free from this thin ribbon. In revenge, he bit off Tyr's hand. Being very pleased with themselves, the gods carried Fenrir off and chained him to a rock called Gjöll, a mile down the earth. They wedged a sword between his jaws to prevent him from biting. On the day of Ragnarok, Fenrir will break his chains and join the giants in their battle against the gods. He will seek out Odin and devour him. Vidar, Odin's son, will avenge his father by killing the wolf. Number 4. Jormungand. In Norse mythology, Jormungand is a giant serpent and one of the 3 children of the god Loki and his wife, the giantess Angrboda. The gods were well aware that this monster was growing fast and that it would one day bring much evil upon gods and men. Odin deemed it advisable to render the child/serpent/creature harmless. He threw the serpent in the ocean that surrounds the earth, but the monster had grown to such an enormous size that it easily spanned the entire world, hence the name Midgard serpent. It lies deep in the ocean where it bites its own tail and all mankind gets caught within its coils. At the destruction of the universe, Jormungand and Thor will kill each other. Think about that the next time you take a cruise and look out at the dark water. Number 3. Skoll and Hati. Skoll and Hati are 2 monstrous wolves in Norse mythology. Some sources suggest that the great wolf Fenrir is their father, but that isn't known for sure. Skoll means one who mocks, and Hati means one who hates. In the epics, they're only mentioned in passing. One of them chases the sun, or Sol, and the other chases Mani, the moon. Their aim is to devour the celestial bodies. No one is sure which wolf chases which, though a close reading of the Eddic poem Grimnismal suggests that Hati chases the moon while his brother haunts the sun. At Ragnarok, the downfall of the cosmos, they catch their prey as the sky and earth darken and collapse. Number 2. Nidhogg. In Norse mythology, Nidhogg, whose name means terror of corpses, is a monstrous serpent that gnaws almost perpetually at the deepest root of the world tree Yggdrasil, threatening to destroy it. Vikings must have had a deep fear of snakes or something. The serpent that lives at the roots of the tree is always bickering with the eagle that lives in the top of the tree. The squirrel Ratatotskr carries messages between the two. Nidhogg lies on Nasrand and Niflheim and eats corpses to sustain itself. It's not the only serpent who wants to destroy the world tree. Other serpents include Grabak, Gravoluth, Goin, and Moin. Nidhogg is also sometimes referred to as a dragon. Number 1. Sleipnir. Sleipnir came about because the gods simply didn't want to pay someone. According to Norse mythology, the war between the Vanir and Aesir destroyed the wall that enclosed Asgard, leaving the gods vulnerable to an attack by the giants. One day, a stonemason named Blast offered to rebuild the wall if the goddess Freya would consent to be his wife. He asked for the sun and the moon as well. The gods wanted the wall rebuilt, but saw the terms as outrageous. However, the god Loki proposed that the gods give Blast only 6 months to complete the task or no payment. That meant at least part of the wall would be done for free. The mason agreed but insisted that he be allowed to use his stallion Svadilfari in rebuilding the wall. The work proceeded much more rapidly than the gods had anticipated, and they began to worry that the mason might have to be paid after all. The god Odin threatened to kill Loki if Blast completed the wall. To prevent his death, Loki decided to distract Svadilfari, who was doing all of the heavy hauling for the mason. Taking the form of a young mare, Loki lured Svadilfari into chase, and the stallion was gone all day. When he returned to his master, it was too late to complete the work. The mason became so angry that he revealed his true form, that of a rock giant. The god Thor dispatched the giant with a mighty blow of his hammer. Months later, Loki returned to Asgard. He brought with him a gray colt with 8 legs named Sleipnir, the foal of Loki the mare and Svadilfari the stallion, and gave it to Odin. The colt could travel over land and sea and through the air. Sleipnir's name means the sliding one, and Odin rides him on his frequent journeys through the 9 worlds. Sleipnir is also said to be a means of transportation used by shamans in their ecstatic travels throughout the cosmos. Thanks for watching! Let me know if there are any specific video topics you would like me to cover. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!